Waitress Lydia Hope Ewing is suing her ex-boyfriend, Mark West, for an accident he had with her car. Mark claims the accident wasn't his fault.
All rise. Yes, this is case number 17 on the calendar in the matter of Ewing versus West.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Ewing, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for an accident that he had with your car while he was driving your car with your permission, and some small utility bill from when he left the house and you were living together. Let's deal with the accident, please, and not this utility bill. All right?
Okay.
Good. How long were you living together?
In December, it was probably about 9 months.
Okay. Sir, let's start with you. When was the accident?
Approximately December, I believe.
You want to tell me what happened?
Basically, she asked me if I could drive her to work because she was running late. Dropped her off at work, was driving to a friend of mine's house and was...
Well, why were you dropping her off at work, sir? You were borrowing her car?
She was late and...
She doesn't drive?
Yes, she does, but she was late. She had asked me if I could drop her off.
Mr. West, if she's going to work and if she's late, why isn't she driving her own car?
She could put her makeup on the car on the way to work. More time to get ready.
Does that sound right to you?
No. He wanted to borrow my car. His truck wasn't legal to drive, so it wasn't registered.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Well, why didn't you say that?
That wasn't the reason I was driving her car.
Well, sir, let me tell you what you just said to me a moment ago. You said you dropped her off at work and you were going over to see a friend of yours.
Yes.
Which means you had someplace to go. And if you couldn't get there driving your truck, which you clearly wouldn't use because it wasn't legal, you needed a car that day.
I wasn't legal either, so me driving anything was not legal.
You mean you had no license?
Suspended license.
Why is that?
I was supposed to make my court hearing within 10 days. I thought it was 30.
Make what court hearing?
Court hearing I had for a ticket.
What kind of ticket?
Speeding.
Oh. See how complicated things get? Why were you letting him drive your car if he had no license?
I was under the impression that all of that was being taken care of.
What do you mean all of it was being taken care of? What does that mean?
He had more than one ticket, and I
assumed he did.
I was under the impression that it was taken care of, and he had asked me not to keep bothering him about it. I didn't realize he was going to be driving my car all over town like that either.
I don't care if he drives your car from here to the end of this room. Driving all over town isn't the issue. Right. Driving at all, getting behind the wheel of a car and turning on the ignition is the problem. So, Miss Ewing, you knew that he had no license.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's get to it. So you let him take you to work, go visit his friends, come back to pick you up, and you knew he had no license. I just want to get things straight. It would be so easy if I could get this without, like, pulling teeth. All right, Mr. West, so you dropped her off at work, and then you went to your friend's house. I'm waiting for the accident.
On the way to my friend's house, I was rear-ended.
Did you get out of your car?
No.
Why not?
Because I had no license.
Didn't you get out to see if maybe somebody was injured?
I was the one rear-ended.
So what? I mean, common sense would say, listen, if you were rear-ended and caused almost $3,000 worth of damage, according to her, somebody might have been hurt in the other car, even if it was their fault. Keep going. I'm getting more fascinated with this story of yours.
The damage didn't look near as bad. It looked like it just needed a new bumper, and we had agreed. He had said that he would pay for a new bumper. A month or two later, he still had put it off. And
you're driving the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And he's driving the car?
No. That was the last time.
Never drove the car after that?
No.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The next month is when he moved out. We were bickering back and forth, I guess, but he was obviously not going to pay for the bumper. So I took it in to get an estimate for the bumper. The damage to the car apparently isn't something that you can see. It's damage more to the frame and underneath the car. The trunk pan is rippled. There's dents, or not dents, but dimples next to the sunroof from the impact of the accident. And
what? Dimples to the sunroof?
Well, during the collision, it'll send a shockwave through the body of the car. And
what do you do for a living?
I'm a waitress.
Waitresses can't give expert testimony on what happens during the course of a collision. Your statement, Mr. West, is that Miss Ewing was in 2 accidents since. How do you know she was in another accident with the car?
All I know is that she obtained new rims because she had damaged one, and the other was pretty much just hearsay.
Were you in subsequent accidents after this incident with Mr. West in December?
I was not in an I was in, I ran over a curb, if that's considered an accident.
Well, it's not an on purpose. You didn't run over the curb on purpose.
No, no.
And you damaged the car.
Well, the tires needed to be replaced, yes, ma'am.
How many tires?
2.
That's a lot of damage. You damaged the rims as well? Is
Yes.
not an answer.
Yes.
Get a life, Miss Ewing.
Okay.
Let me see the estimate that you have. Replace bumper cover, $284. The rest is for roof panels with sunroof, add for clear clove glass sunroof, possible rear suspension damage, clean and delivery, $20. You needed a bumper. What kind of car do you have?
2002 Honda Accord. And if you read, I mean, on the gentleman explained to me why.
Listen to me, my dear. You're lucky, quite frankly, that I would award you a penny based upon the fact that you permitted an unlicensed driver to drive your car. That's your responsibility. You're the owner of the car,
Yes, ma'am.
and you can say, no, you can't drive your car because you're irresponsible. The government says that you're not responsible enough to drive any car, and I'm not giving you my car to drive. Then you wouldn't have been in this problem with him. Second thing is, I'm not prepared to say what damage was caused by somebody rear-ending him, or whether the underneath part of the car was damaged as a result of you going over a curb that required you replacing 2 tires and 2 rims. But mostly, you had no right to let an unlicensed driver drive your car. Period. End of discussion. Okay. This court is going to award you $200. You want to have the bumper fixed? Terrific. You don't? Terrific. Are you together anymore?
Questionable.
Questionable? When you say questionable, what does that mean?
That means no.
No. Listen to me very carefully, sir. You moved out in what month?
January.
Since January, have you and Miss Ewing had dinner together?
Yes.
Since January, have you and Miss Ewing gone shopping together?
Yes.
Since January, have you and Miss Ewing slept together?
Yes.
Miss Ewing, you get 0. Nothing. Nothing. You picked them, you deal with them. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused and they'll step out.
We don't see eye to eye when it comes to our future and where we want to go.
Conflict of interest, I guess you could say.
Apparently, if he doesn't want to get a job to pay for the damages or his bills, then therefore, yeah, we apparently don't see eye to eye.
Get to the card, Mr. Livingston.
Yes, ma'am. This was really weird. I called her.
Get to the card, Mr.
I'm going to get to
Livingston.
the card. You said that I was interested. I spent 2 nights over there.
Mr. Livingston, I'm getting older by the second, sir.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. The next case.
All parties in the matter of Livingston versus Goebel, step forward, please.
Electrician David Livingston is suing his former friend, 29-year-old nurse's assistant Kimberly Goebel, for a series of unpaid loans. David says he met Kimberly on the internet, and she played him for a fool.
Mr. Livingston, it is your claim that the defendant, who you met on the internet and had started a relationship with, owes you for 2 loans that you made to her.
Correct.
How old are you, sir?
40?
Ever been married?
Yes.
More than once?
No.
How long?
Well, a little over a year.
Long time ago?
Yes, 13 years.
So you've been single ever since? You're looking for the right girl?
Well, one day.
She's not it.
I understand that. It was never that way, Your Honor.
No. I'm just telling you.
Right.
She's not it. When did you start communicating with Miss Goebel on the internet?
It was about June or July of last year.
And when for the first time did you meet her?
Probably about a month after we started talking.
Of 04?
Yes.
Where did you meet her?
We first met, she needed some stuff. She needed some feminine stuff. And so she asked me as a favor, as a friend, and I went and took her some feminine materials.
That's the first time you met her?
I believe so, Your Honor.
You mean you communicated on the internet and she said, I have to go get some feminine hygiene stuff, and you said, okay,
Well,
I'll come and pick you up?
There was a lot of history behind that, Your Honor, because we had talked on the phone also. We talked on the phone also.
I
We
don't
built
care
a
whether you
rapport.
talked on the phone. I don't care whether you blew up balloons together, whether you sent pigeons to each other's homes. Doesn't make any difference to me. It just seems very peculiar that the first time that you meet a woman, she takes you to the drugstore to buy her feminine products.
Well, you know, I do have to correct myself, Your Honor. I believe the first time we met, we went to a bar for a beer.
Now that sounds like a thing. Is that what happened,
That's
Miss
And the
Coble?
whole time that we were sitting there communicating, she was on the cell phone the whole time.
Listen, Mr. Livingston, if now you're telling me that the first time you met, she sat on the phone talking to somebody, and then you gave her money sometime in the future, that doesn't make you look too smart.
Well, I understand that, Your Honor, but
Okay,
it was...
good. So, August is when you met for the first time.
Correct.
Now, I'd like you to tell me when you gave her money for the first time.
It was in
The
November?
questions are going to get harder, sir. Your lawsuit involves 2 different dates that you gave her money.
Correct.
Those should be right up there because the questions are going to get more complex after that.
Okay. It was approximately 1st of September.
So, within a couple of weeks of meeting her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, tell me about that.
Well, she had always played this hard luck story. She was trying to change her life. Said she'd quit drugs. She was trying to get away from the people that she was hanging out with. And when I was down and out, somebody was there to help me. And she pretty much played me that she was a wounded duck and she was trying to change her life. She said if she didn't get her phone bill paid, she couldn't talk to her mom, she couldn't talk to those people that were important to her. And so it didn't happen overnight. She asked me several times, and there were several times that I said, Kim, quit calling me. And she would also call back and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I understand, and can we be friends? I said,
Good. So
sure.
you gave her how much to pay for her phone bill?
I actually paid it for her. I went down to Smith's, got a money order, and mailed it in for $50 for her cell phone bill.
Okay. And the next?
The next was she bought a car.
When?
She purchased a car in February of this year.
So since August, you've been in a relationship with You're talking about February
Friendship.
2005.
Friendship.
So between September and February, I assume she didn't pay you back the $50.
Correct. She kept
Okay,
saying that there was a lawsuit she was going to get a settlement on.
There's my uncle who's coming and is going to help me get straight.
Correct.
How much money did you give her in February?
Again, it was not an overnight situation. Okay.
How much money did you give her in February?
It was a little over $220, somewhere right in there.
Okay, so that's what she owes you.
She owes me that and also for her insurance. I paid her insurance for it.
How much was that?
$50.
What's next?
Well, basically what happened is that her birthday was in March, 2nd of March, and I called her. She is trying to make this into a relationship gone bad. It is not a relationship gone bad. She made a verbal promise to me, and that's all that matters. I did buy her something for her birthday. I bought her a necklace that said Friends on it. Okay, I since took it back to Walmart. But, okay, but the
Quiet,
situation
please.
is that she is very, very good about manipulating somebody's feelings to make you think that you are her friend.
Well, that's what she did to you, sir.
That's exactly what she did to me.
No, I did not.
Who do you live with?
I'm living with my ex, which is my baby's father.
How old is your baby?
2.
Do you have only one child?
No, I have 3.
Where are the other 2?
They're living with me.
Did you ever go out with Mr. Livingston and your 3 children?
Well, he came over to my son's birthday party.
And when did the father of your youngest child come back into the picture?
Well, I was living with him at the time, and he was my friend, and he came over to the birthday party.
So you were living with your boyfriend.
Well, he's my ex. I've been separated for like a year and a half.
Did you know that he was living there, Mr. Livingston?
Yes, I did.
Did you know who he was?
Yes, I did. And what I asked her is, I said, I have never in my life heard a situation to where a girlfriend and boyfriend break up and they're living together. Why is he living there, Kim? She says, because if I don't let him live there, he is not going to let me see my child. He's going to withhold my child from me. Your Honor, I come from a situation to where my ex held my children from me, and I was sensitive to that. Okay?
Mr. Livingston.
Yes, ma'am.
It sounds to me you were a little bit smitten with the defendant, because otherwise you wouldn't have even asked that question, right? So it sounds to me as
That
if
is
it
not
was...
true, Your Honor. She was trying to better her life, and she could not better her life when he wasn't working, he wasn't paying for groceries, he wasn't doing anything but
Mr.
sucking her
Livingston,
dry.
if you want to be a benevolent guy and if you want to be a mentor, there are kids there in the Boys and Girls Club that you can mentor.
I understand
You were
that.
mentoring Miss Coble because you were smitten with her.
No, ma'am, that's not true.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second, sir.
I also got a call from her ex, and he basically said, what kind of trouble do you want with me? And I said, you know what, this is none of your business. If you call here again, I'm going to file suit on you. He called right back, and he said, the disciples are going to be after you.
Mr.
Okay?
Livingston,
So,
all very interesting, sir.
thank you, Your Honor.
Fascinating. Can I see the card that you are dying to show me, Bird? Would you get that card for me, please?
Sure.
May I explain that card, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, this card was...
Yes, now you can explain this love card.
Thank you, Your Honor. She had asked me a lot of times to fix her car. I said I could not financially do it. When I could finally do it, I said, is he leaving tomorrow? And she said, yes. I said, well, that would be a better environment, because I didn't like the guy. I didn't like him around. He was an idiot. He was aggressive, everything else. So anyway, I felt better working by myself without having him around. Not because I was closer to her, but because it was a better environment for me. Because he's a violent
Get to the card, Mr. Livingston.
Yes, ma'am. So she calls me and says, I want a relationship with you. I said, what are you talking about? You know, that's quote, end quote, I want a relationship with you, Dave. And I said, you know what, you don't have to do this, Kim. I'm your friend. I'm going to fix your car regardless. You don't have to say that. So I was out of town for 2 days. I got her that birthday present, that $40 friendship necklace. And when I came back, all of a sudden, I mean, this was really weird. I called her.
Could you give me the
Yes.
Get to the card,
I'm going to
Mr.
get to the card.
Livingston. It says I love you.
I bought her the
always
card
wanna be
because
with you.
when I got back from out of town, we had a fight. Because now understand, I had spent 2 nights over there. You said that I was interested in her. I spent 2 nights over there, and I didn't lay a hand on her. Okay. The card was given to her because there was an interest there. Okay, but
Mr. Livingston.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
I'm getting older by the second, sir. Listen to me very carefully, Mr. Livingston.
Yes, Your Honor.
The fact that she said to you, I want a relationship with you, doesn't answer the question. I said to you, were you smitten with her? You said no.
I was not.
But I'm speaking.
Yes,
You
Your
said
Honor.
no. You said I cared about her because she was a human being and people helped me when I was trying to turn my life around and I was trying to help her. It had nothing to do with a romantic feeling. So the fact that, listen to me very carefully, try to put on your listening ears.
Yes, ma'am.
The fact that she says to you, I want a relationship with you, your response is, Kim, I don't feel that way about you. I want to be your friend and help you because I'm a human being, and from one human being to another, I have no romantic interest in you at all. The fact that she said to you, I want a relationship with you, doesn't mean you send her a love letter. Unless you are smitten with her, Mr. Livingston. Now, you can talk until you're blue in the face, until I'm tall and you're short, but that's the truth of the matter.
Then, Your Honor...
No! Cross it off. If you're looking for a mate, sir, she is not it. Put a period. It's over. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well.
Your Honor,
Goodbye.
I can recover.
Good luck. Have a happy life. Cross it off. It's money down the sewer. It's over. Goodbye. Not alone.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Manthorn is suing former client, surgical admitter Joanne Morante, for the unpaid balance on a ski weekend. Joanne says the trip was a disaster and she's not paying. She is countersuing for pain and suffering.
Now, this is case number 11 on the calendar in the matter of Manthorn versus Morante. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Manthorn, you are an event planner, according to what I read in your complaint.
Yes, Your Honor.
You plan different kinds of trips.
I'm actually a club promoter, not an event coordinator.
Well, but you were planning trips.
Yes.
This particular event was a trip.
Yes.
Mrs. Morante wanted to plan a weekend with some friends, and she answered your ad. Your ad was for what kind of a weekend, Miss Morante?
Freestyle ski trip.
What does that mean?
Freestyle is a type of music, like classical or disco. It's a certain type of music.
Would somebody my age like
No.
that kind of music?
Not at all.
You answered that very fast, Miss Morante. Do you know what freestyle music is?
I have no idea.
Can you hum something in freestyle?
No, I don't really want to.
Okay. Anyway, and that was the ad that you placed, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you signed up, you gave them a deposit.
Correct.
And how much was the deposit?
$250. $50 per girl. There were 5 girls.
2 days? Saturday,
Yes, from
Sunday?
Friday night arrival, Sunday morning departure.
So 2 nights?
Correct.
Okay. And she paid you?
Yes, she did.
She went on the weekend eventually, even though the date was changed.
The ski trip that I had promoted for was canceled. The date wasn't changed. The freestyle event was canceled for that weekend.
That I never knew about.
Okay.
Until now, today.
Shh. That was canceled.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you planned something else. Why was that canceled?
Okay, it was canceled due to the lack of people. We couldn't get people to go on the ski trip weekend.
Because nobody knows what it is. So then you planned something else.
No. What I did, I put them on a different ski trip for the following weekend.
Without our knowledge.
Well, just a second. You planned something else for them.
I gave them an alternative. I gave them two alternatives. I gave them, alternative number one was give them their deposit of $250 back.
That's a lie.
Shh.
Or I could put them on the second week,
Just a second. Shh, listen to me. She gave you the $250.
She mailed it to me, the deposit of $250.
Okay. So you had her address.
Yes, I did.
Can I see the letter that you sent her indicating that you were canceling the freestyle weekend, but you were giving her two options? Can I see that letter?
There was no letter.
That's all I wanted.
Thank you.
There was no letter. But one way or another, you got on this second weekend that they had planned, you and 4 friends.
Me and 3 other girls.
You and 3 other girls.
One was soon to be my sister-in-law.
Please, I don't need that information.
Okay.
I have a very, very busy day today. And you say it was a trip from hell.
It was a disaster.
Can I see the ad for the weekend?
The original that I picked up?
The original.
This is the original.
The original? That's the only one that he's got? Because...
No, I received the second one.
Oh, you did receive it?
At the hotel.
Oh, okay. Not before you went?
Not before I went.
Okay. So tell me, now this looks like a very nice promotion.
Yes.
This is what you've sent out, right?
Yes, I was still promoting for that, yes.
Good. And what you're suing for, sir, is she stopped payment on the $940.
Yes, she did, and I have the check right here.
I believe you. She doesn't deny it. She
Okay.
says that it was a disaster. So I'm going to hear her. Okay. Tell me why it was a disaster.
Okay. Prior to leaving for the trip, Brian changed the dates on us 1 week in advance.
You went. You didn't have to go.
Okay.
You went.
We went to the bus location with him saying that he was going to meet us there Friday evening at about 6 p.m. with about 4 or 5 buses waiting to hurl 500 people up to this freestyle music weekend. There's no Brian. There's only 2 buses. We were not on any kind of list, my name or any of the girls that were with me, to get on the bus. We had to sit there and talk to people that did not know who we were.
So you first had a problem with the organization.
Right.
You finally got on a bus.
We finally got on a bus. The minute we sat down, we smelled marijuana. We refused to sit on a bus with marijuana for our health reasons, and we weren't planning this kind of ghetto weekend. We were trying to go away to have a nice weekend trip. And this was not something that I would ever be interested in.
Okay.
So we complained. They opened up the vent on the bus and sprayed air freshener. I walked right off the bus with the 3 girls.
Okay.
Called my husband, called Brian. He did not pick up his cell phone. He didn't show up.
What did you do next?
I complained to the bus drivers. I complained to the other promoters who never heard of me, who didn't even know who Brian was, and they told us to
Did you get on another bus?
They made us get on another bus, correct.
Was that bus okay?
That bus had a lot of drinking and cursing. It was better than the marijuana, but it was not acceptable once we were en route.
Did you get to where you were going?
We did, without being able to use the bathroom, all 3 girls.
When you got to where you were going, tell me about the accommodations that you had.
We walked in. People from the first bus were mimicking, saying things to us because we complained about the pot smoking. They were saying we were troublemakers.
I'm not interested in what they were saying about you. I'm interested in the accommodations.
Okay, well, the accommodations was a room that, had 2 double beds. We were, all 4 girls staying in the same room together.
Did you stay?
We stayed in the hotel room with the doors locked, towels under the door because of the marijuana.
You stayed in the hotel?
Correct, we did.
Why didn't you go home?
I had no way of getting home. He came and picked me up, and he cut his bachelor party short because he was in Atlantic City with my brother and the rest of the guys. And he had to drive over 3 hours to come pick me up, and we had to go home with him squished like sardines in a truck, 4 girls and suitcases and everything, because we refused to get back on the bus with the people that was ghetto that we would not want to be around. Going home another 3 hours. We were not allowed to use the bathroom in the bus unless we took alcohol shots from strangers. It's ridiculous.
Listen to me. I don't understand.
You find it funny. I don't think it's funny.
Miss Moranti, listen to me.
You weren't there.
Miss Moranti, listen to me. I don't understand why you would stay in the hotel.
Well, there was.
She's lying, Your Honor.
I'm lying? You weren't even there.
No.
Okay?
Mr. Mann, listen, if you can't behave yourself, that's not going to bode well for your success in this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you supposed to be on this trip, Mr. Mann?
I was going, originally I was going to go, but I'm in the National Guard, and I had drill that weekend.
Show me. I believe you're in the National Guard. Show me that you were on a drill that weekend.
My drill assembly schedule was at home. But I let Joanne know and I let Liz know.
No, you did not.
Just a second. Did you tell them before you took their money that you weren't going to be there?
I told them when they came to make the final payment that I wasn't going to be there.
That's a lie. I never made final
Just a
payment
second.
with them.
She never made final payment with me. Liz came to my place of business and was going to make final payment, and that's when I let them know that the ski trip was canceled, and I would give them two options. Option number one, I'll give them back the deposit.
How much profit did you make on this, sir?
I made $50 off each girl, so I made $200.
And you were the subcontractor?
I was the sub-promoter, yes.
Because you said, I'll get a certain number of bodies for you to go.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
That's how it works, yes.
Did you explain that to Miss Moranti, that you were not promoting this, that you were
I told her I was a sub-promoter. The main promoter is on top of the flyer.
And he wasn't there.
Just
it was a different company.
Just a second. All I want to know is, did you tell Miss Moranti that this was not something that you were organizing and promoting?
Yes.
You were merely selling that, is that right?
Yes.
No, he told me he was a promoter, and his phone number's on that card.
If you're going to be fixed with what's in your head and not listen to my question, you're not helping yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it or understand.
Because you're not listening, you have to put on your listening ears.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have a counterclaim for your pain and suffering. And right now, what you're being to me is a pain. And I'm suffering.
And later today,
What a con artist. I mean, does she think that we're stupid, that she's going to be able to resolve this issue with those kind of answers?
Hope springs eternal.
Sit down, April.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Promoter Brian Manthorn says former client Joanne Morante owes for the balance on a weekend ski trip. Joanne says the trip was unsafe.
Did the plaintiff ever tell you that he was not in charge of promoting this event?
No, he didn't.
Listening ears, that somebody else was in charge of promoting this event, and all he was doing was providing bodies at $50 a person.
No, he didn't.
Of course not. Don't fib to me, sir.
Your Honor.
Don't listen to me. Did you tell her that this was not your gig, that you didn't know anything about it, but that you were getting $50 a head for every person that you brought in?
I didn't tell her what I was getting. I told her that I was sub-promoting. Yes, I did. I didn't tell her that I was.
You're
I
a
didn't tell her what I was
Swiftie.
making.
I don't believe you. Did he tell you that?
No.
Of course not. I don't believe you. That's a fib.
Thank you.
Well, Your Honor, I also have a tape. She's claiming something about the bus ride. I also have a tape that Liz left on my voicemail message about the bus ride. Can I play it?
Absolutely.
Saved voice message.
Hey, what's up? Just wanted to call you that,
Is that
now
Liz?
we're a bit happy. They changed us bus, which is much better than what we were before. And what I was trying to tell you before was like, it was like really, really ghetto, and
See?
like, I don't know, it just smelled like weed and stuff, which is like, I don't know. But now they changed us to another bus, so much better. So we're like more happier. So if anything, I'll talk to you. All right, bye.
That's exactly what she said.
Yes, and that was
She
before.
said that the second bus. She said the second bus. She had to drink and everything like that.
That's correct. To use the bathroom.
She
How
said
ghetto.
the second bus was better. Why should she have to tolerate the first bus?
Absolutely, I agree with her 100%.
Good. Then you get nothing. Stick with what you know, sir. Sounds to me like she had a horror show of a weekend. It was so bad that she wouldn't return on the bus back home, and she asked her husband, who will vouch for that, I assume, to cut his weekend short, to come and pick up the 4 girls because they were so put off by what was going on with the bus that they didn't want to take the bus home. Why do you think she would do that if it wasn't miserable?
Because she calls me a con artist.
You are. You are.
Okay, if I'm such a con artist,
You are. You are.
Your Honor, if I'm such a con artist, then when she wrote me these checks, I would have cashed them the day of.
That's your problem.
I never
tell
did
him
that.
when to cash the checks.
Absolutely, she
Your
did.
counterclaim's dismissed.
She absolutely did. She said.
Do you understand?
I guess.
You guess. You know why?
No.
Very easy. Because you have a counterclaim for your pain and suffering. And
And
right
false
now, what you're being to me is a pain. And I'm suffering. Because I already told you that this is a court. And in a court, when I look at you, you testified he was quiet. So your counterclaim is dismissed. That's your punishment.
It's a big punishment.
It is. It absolutely is. So you got $250 deposit. That check went through. Is that right?
Yes, it went through
You
because
got $50 a person for how many people?
for 4 people.
That's $200. That's $450. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How much money are you out?
I'm out $940 minus $200.
That's right.
That'd be 7.
That's what you're out. Don't do it again. Stick with what you know. If you con somebody into thinking that they're going to have a great weekend and they have a miserable weekend, there has to be consequences. That's your consequence, $750. You count the claims dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Brian's a con artist. He got what he deserved.
Outrage that somebody can pay for something, spend the whole entire weekend, and still get away with not paying for it.
It was just horrible. It was terrible. There was marijuana going on.
Marijuana use is illegal. She had the choice to get off that bus.
It was out of control, ghetto, something that I would never take part of.
When she seen that it was so ghetto, quote unquote, she could have left. She chose to keep going.
He deceived me from the beginning.
Stay away from prissy girls like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Liebhardt versus Malone. Step forward.
19-year-old student Angela Liebhardt is suing her ex-boyfriend, automotive technician Michael Malone, for the return of her furniture and for throwing away her computer. Michael says the computer had a virus.
Miss Liebhardt, you and the defendant lived together for a brief period of time and claimed that when you moved out, you left some of your stuff there for the defendant to store. You don't want it back anymore. And then there was a computer that Mr. Malone says he got tired of storing and it was broken anyway, so he threw it out. Okay. When did you meet him?
I met him in December of '03.
Where?
At a bar that a friend of mine owns.
How soon did you move in with him?
It was almost immediately.
What does that mean? I mean, that night, the next day?
It was probably about a week or so.
What made you make such a precipitous move?
It was an error in judgment.
Okay. What did you bring with you?
I brought my bed with me. Things were given to me during the relationship. The computer was given to me approximately a month before we broke up.
By whom?
My grandmother.
Was it a new computer?
Yes, brand new.
How old were you when you moved in with him?
18.
How old are you?
29.
29. All right. When you moved out in June?
Yep.
Under what circumstances?
He told me to leave.
Did he say why?
We were done.
You weren't getting along anymore?
Yeah.
Why did you leave the computer?
I was leaving town for a few days, and I asked him if it was okay if I left my stuff there for a few days. He told me it was all right. I could leave it there as long as I needed, and I've attempted to get it back on numerous occasions, and he's never there.
Well, after you left in June, when was the first time that you attempted to get your computer and furniture back?
It was 3 days after I moved out.
Tell me what you did.
I called him up, and he wasn't home, and I told him that that's when I would be back in town, is in 3 days.
So you called him up, he wasn't home?
Yes.
So, what'd you do next?
I waited a few days and called him again.
And did you speak to him?
I made an appointment to go and get my stuff with him.
So that was about, let's say, a week later. You made an appointment to go and get your stuff?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Are you making it up as you're going along, or is that the truth as you remember it?
Angela Liebhardt says ex-boyfriend Michael Malone threw away her computer. Michael says the computer was junk.
Step up. What is your last name?
Renee Williams.
Okay. Miss Williams, when for the first time did you contact Mr. Malone?
I started attempting to call him in October.
Did you ever speak to him?
There was a couple times. One time we set a time to meet. At that time he had...
To meet to do what?
So that I could get Angela's stuff for her.
What furniture is there?
There is like a china cabinet and like a hutch type thing, like a buffet.
Something that's wooden?
Thing. Yes, 2 wooden things.
Okay. Where are her 2 wooden chests that she has?
They're in a back room at my house.
Okay, you have no objection if she comes and gets those, do you?
No, not at all.
Good. 5 days from today, you may bring a peace officer if you wish. There'll be an order. Those 2 items are to be in the front of the house. Do you understand?
Yes.
5 days from today, 9 a.m. You'll get a formal order of that. With regard to the computer, sir, you're going to have to convince me why you don't owe her $1,073.67 for the computer.
At first, I had no problem with them getting the computer. Then the computer broke, and we were getting ready to move, and it was junk to me. I've had them say, you can come get it, you can do whatever.
Well, at that point, it was junk, sir, because if you were using it, and if it broke while you were using it, you're responsible for it.
He didn't say that we could come get it. First, he told her that it was at his mom's. Then his wife told me that it was stolen, and now he's saying that it's junk.
Step up. Your name?
April Malone.
April? Mm-hmm. Did you ever tell Miss Williams that the computer was stolen?
Yes, that's what I had known that it was. I didn't know that.
What do you mean you had known? That's what you had known that it was. Explain that to me.
I was told that it was stolen. I didn't know that it was broken.
Who told you that it was stolen?
Some of his family members.
What about him? You didn't ask him?
No.
You didn't say to your husband what happened to you? His family members told you it was stolen? April, look at me. She says to you, where's the computer? You say to her, it's stolen.
I don't know anything about the computer. To my knowledge, I knew it was stolen.
Well, just a second. You're living with your husband, right, April?
Yes.
So it had to be your husband that told you it was stolen.
I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about this relationship.
Are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm not asking you about relationship. Pay careful attention. You don't get off the hook, because I shake it until I get the truth. That if you told her the computer is stolen, you got that from your husband.
I'm not sure who I got it from. I tried resolving this problem. I offered to claim it on our home insurance policy. I called them, and I had called my father-in-law because I did not know who the insurance policy was through. I still don't.
So what did you do? You called your father-in-law and said, I want to know who our insurance carrier is, right?
Yes, I tried that.
What do you mean you tried? So did you get an answer?
No, I did not.
Why didn't you get an answer? They don't want to talk to you?
My father-in-law is only home like once a week. He travels.
God. What a con artist. I mean, does she think that we're stupid, that she's going to be able to resolve this issue with those kind of answers?
Hope springs eternal.
Sit down, April. Does it embarrass you to stand up in front of 10 million people and appear to be so foolish?
No.
How many children?
What I could do.
Let me ask you a question. How many children do you have?
I don't have any children.
Try keeping it that way.
I plan on it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,073.67. 5 days from today, you can go get your property. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Is suing her niece, office manager Kimberly Kayla, for having her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly is countersuing, claiming Alice broke her arm.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 22 on the calendar, the matter of Moore versus Kayla.
Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Whew. Family that certainly does not get along well. Miss Moore, the defendant is your niece.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that she had you falsely arrested for assaulting her last year during the time that your mother was ill and dying.
Yes, ma'am.
You went through a trial recently and were acquitted.
Yes,
found
ma'am.
not guilty. And you're suing her for the false arrest and for the year that you spent facing these charges. The defendant says that the charges were true and that she is counterclaiming for her injuries. Her injuries, I believe, were broken arm.
Yes, ma'am.
When was your mother ill last year?
My mother became ill early in January, but she really got bad in March of, it was 2003.
And when did this incident occur with your niece?
March the 10th, after I flew to Texas to be beside my mother who was dying at her home.
So you tell me your version of what happened, what led up to this incident.
Saturday afternoon, my sister, Brenda, had instructed me to give medication to my mother every 4 hours without stopping. And it put my mother in a very...
What kind of medicine was it?
One was a morphine and the other one was for anxiety.
Did your mother have cancer?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of cancer did she have?
Cancer of the liver.
So the morphine was prescribed to keep her calm.
Yes, ma'am, but on the prescription of the bottle, it says every 4 hours as needed. And my question was, that night she was totally out of it, and my brother he was there that night, and he had to pick my mother up out of the bed because she could not move at all. And we did not give her the medication every 4 hours like my sister had instructed, and I had asked my other sister in the morning about the medication.
So that caused a problem with your niece?
They were all upset because I would not give the medication like that. But anyway, Sunday night, I left and went out to another sister's house to rest. And when I came, that morning on Monday, my daughter and I came back in the afternoon, and I come to the conclusion I couldn't handle seeing my mother's death.
Okay.
Because of my heart condition and my nerves.
Okay, you couldn't handle it. Okay.
And I was talking to my husband on the phone, and I told him he could reach me. I was on the porch, and I told him he could reach me out at my other sister's. Brenda got mad at me, and I don't want to have a consultation with my mother dying.
Why was she angry with you? What was she saying?
She just felt that I was there trying to take over, and she was already had said that she was going to come out there and whip on me on Monday, and I didn't pay any attention to that in a phone call that we had.
Was that over the medication?
Yes.
Is that so far, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, step up. Brenda, what were you angry about?
I wasn't angry with her. I was actually relieved that she was there to help us because we had 3 months prior of taking care of my mother. Everybody was stressed out. It was a bad time. My sister had called me and she told me that the hospice people had told her not to give my mother the medication except when she needed it. I told her specifically, Alice, when you're there, you do what you need to do. I told her I was calling a meeting with the hospice people on Monday. The whole family would be there. We could all understand. I learned more about death than I ever wanted to know with my mother. And I didn't want to go through this by myself. I wanted my sisters there. I wanted help. Right. So when we asked for a meeting, she said 10 o'clock. My sister couldn't be there. She was so concerned about my mother and the medication, but she couldn't be there to see what the hospice people. We were doing exactly what they said, exactly what they said.
Which is medicating her every 4 hours and not letting the pain grab hold of her.
Right,
Well,
right. That's exactly how they explained it to her,
Right.
to us. You know, when the pain kicks in, this is how she's going to be. Don't let the pain
let it
come.
get there.
You know,
Right.
we'd been there with her. We didn't want to let the pain come. Nobody, you know, she was going to die. We knew that. We wanted it to be peaceful.
I got it.
And that was my mother's wish, to die at home.
Kim, tell me what happened in the kitchen on the 10th of March.
Well, I was in the bedroom with my grandmother, and I heard them in the kitchen. And she's telling her, you know, you took her out of the nursing home. You shouldn't have took her out of the nursing home. She's going to die. She's going to bleed. You know, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And they were telling her, then leave. You know, that's fine. If you can't take it,
Put your hand down, Miss
leave.
Moore.
You know. And when I looked outside, she was slapping at my mother. And another one of my aunts stepped in. Well, she grabbed her and she threw her down to the floor. Alice threw my other aunt down to the floor. Her name was Billy.
Go ahead.
And then of course, I had walked in there in the middle of this, and my brother walked in, and she started screaming at my brother. And she was screaming obscenities that you would not believe. And she was, you know, then she started out the door, and my brother went out after her. Well, I went out after him. Then she coming out there, and she's telling me, you know, we need to just call an ambulance for Billy. You know, we need to just go. So I'm going back in the house, and I get the phone to call the police. And as I walk back outside, because I'm hearing screaming now back at the porch. And I'm like, well, I thought she was going to leave. She wasn't leaving. And it's because her daughter over there was telling her, you don't have to leave. They can't make you leave. This is your mama's house. You don't have to leave. You know, her daughter was put in a quarter. And she knows if you push her, she's going to lose it. You know, she has a history of violence and just psychotic behavior. And I look at her and I told her, just go. Just get that out of here. You know, that's why I told her, just get that. And I'm pointing at her. And as I'm pointing at her, she grabs this arm. And she pulls me down. Her daughter steps between us, and she popped my arm down over her daughter's shoulder. It broke this bone up here into pieces. They had to go in and put a rod. You know, I have a permanent rod in the middle of my bone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was leaving and they attacked me. They didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alice Moore says her niece, Kimberly Kayla, had her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly says during an argument, Alice broke her arm.
What happened to Billy?
Billy was taken to the hospital also, and she had some sciatic nerve damage in her back.
She was taken to the hospital that day?
Yes. Okay. But Billy and I were both taken to the same hospital in the same ambulance.
What hospital?
To Spine Memorial Hospital.
Do you have a police report for me, please?
Yes.
It's right there.
Okay, Miss Moore, coming back to you. Now we're going to come to the point in this story where you're going to tell me your version of how her arm got broken.
Well, first of all, there was a consultation in the house, and Brenda held me and Kim, and I have a sworn testimony from the court where my attorney said, "And you slapped her?" And she said, "Yes." At that time, she hit me.
Just a second. Who slapped you?
Kim hit me in the face with the telephone while my sister held me in the kitchen and would not let me leave.
Let me see the testimony. Oh, well, she says, "Do you remember slapping Alice?" She said, "Yeah, I told you in the kitchen when she was pulling my hair and we were going back and forth." "And you slapped her?" "Yes."
But, Judge, I could not be pulling her hair.
Just a minute. Don't explain. You have to read me the whole thing, Miss Moore.
Okay.
She didn't just admit slapping you. She said you were pulling her hair and you were going back and forth and she slapped you.
At the time she slapped me, I had my hands restrained by my sister Brenda.
I would like you to tell me how her arm got broken.
Well, from there, I went outside and was leaving. At that time, her brother stopped me from going to the car. He pounced over the porch and pulled his hand back to hit me. And you're looking at a guy, I wouldn't take my eyes off because he lifts weight and he could have killed me. And he said all kinds of things to me as I was trying to leave. My daughter stood in between us to stop it.
Okay, so your daughter got in between you and her brother.
Right.
Okay.
And as I was looking for my granddaughter, Kim.
Just a second. If your daughter got in between the two of you, why didn't you go back to your car?
I was going, but my granddaughter had the keys to my car.
Where were you looking for her?
Right there in front of my mother's house.
Well, you just have to look. How old is your granddaughter? Is she a little teeny girl?
Yes.
How old is she?
I thought she was about 11 or 12. That's what she looks like.
How old?
She just turned 18, Judge.
So she was 16 at the time?
15. She hadn't turned 16 yet.
15 at the time. Well, you're not looking for her on the ground, madam. Listen to me. If you're looking for your granddaughter who's outside, and the people who are outside, according to you, your nephew, and your daughter, that's 3 people. That's who you told me were outside, and you were looking for your granddaughter around that area.
And Kim came off the porch, charged off the porch with something and hit me in the face, and I could not see. I put my hands up, and I have pictures of where she hit me in the head, and I couldn't see at that time.
Just a second. Hold on a second. Show me the pictures that you have. I don't see anything wrong with your head now.
I had a goose egg right here.
Not according to the police report.
The police did not come and check me out at all or anything. I went to the hospital, to the emergency room.
Let me see the medical records from the hospital. According to the police report, when they spoke to you, there was nothing wrong with you, except you were complaining of chest pains. That's according to 2 police officers. Listen to me. That's what the police said you complained of. Not a goose egg on your head, not being hit on your head. They took you to the hospital for observation because, listen to me, because of the chest pains. What I want you to do is give me the hospital record.
I don't have that part.
Well,
I could not get that part in time for court today.
Well, that's unfortunate because you've had over a year to get that hospital record. Who are you?
I'm her husband, Your Honor.
Were you there?
I talked to her at 7 o'clock.
He was on the phone when I went in to tell him I was leaving.
She was leaving.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't.
My daughter, Frankie, was there.
Oh, I believe Frankie was there. You can step up, Frankie. I believe you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
How did your cousin's arm get broken?
By her brother yanking her arms. When she had my mother's head, she grabbed my mother by her left with her left hand, with Kim's left hand, by her hair, yanked her head over where she's completely bent over. My mother's face is touching the cement. Kim's brother runs from behind Kim and grabs Kim with his arms like this, and he's pulling her, and she's hitting my mother upside the head with a cordless phone in her right hand, and I grab at the phone, and Scott is pulling Kim at both of her arms backwards. No one touched her arms except for her own brother.
Okay, fine. You can sit down. It's very unfortunate when everybody gets stressed out in a situation where...
What was unfortunate?
I'm speaking. It's very unfortunate when people get stressed and angry because somebody who's close to them is dying. And put the picture down, madam. Pay attention to me. The first mistake that you made was not listening. Your mother was dying of liver cancer. The instructions that you were given to give her morphine every 4 hours were the appropriate instructions. I am not a medical person, but unfortunately I have been in situations where I know that you're not supposed to wait until you are in pain as needed. When you are dying, you're supposed to keep medicated so that the pain of liver cancer doesn't take hold. So these people were taking care of your mother for months before you got there. And then you pay attention, try to get it through. And then you come to the scene and decide, this isn't right. The medication says as needed. I'm not going to give her the medication every 4 hours. And everybody is annoyed at that situation because you're sort of a Johnny-come-lately. They've been there for months taking care of the situation, making decisions without you. They took care of, they were the ones who were up at night, they were the ones who were feeding, and all of a sudden you show up and decide to change the rules. Big mistake. You weren't saving your mother's life, Miss Moore. She was going to die. I'm speaking. She was going to die anyway. The question was she going to die peacefully and not in pain ever, or whether you were going to try your method of treatment was let her get a little bit uncomfortable and then we'll give her the medication as needed. Unfortunately, you made a mistake in your choice. I do not believe your daughter when your daughter says that you were beaten over the head with a phone, because there is nothing in any of the official records, including hospital records, which you had every opportunity to get over the last year and a half, that suggests that when you were admitted to the hospital for your chest pains, they noted bruising and swelling on your head that would be consistent with your being hit over the head repeatedly, according to you, and according to your daughter, with a cell phone. So I do not believe you were falsely charged. And I believe you broke her arm.
Oh, ma'am,
I believe
not.
that you... I'm speaking.
I did not. I was leaving and they attacked me.
Okay.
That's all I was doing was leaving.
You may have convinced you, Miss Moore.
I didn't care about what medicine they gave Mother. They attacked me. They didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Listen to me. I don't want to go any further with this, Miss Moore, because
I'm speaking.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Speak.
I swear I did not.
Listen to me very carefully.
Where's the Bible? I took a lie detector's test even, and I did not touch them.
Your case is dismissed. Did you have any unreimbursed medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What were they? Unreimbursed medical bills.
I have $7,000 right here.
Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Student Ashley Weiss is suing her ex-fiancé, 20-year-old parking attendant David Sellers, for a cell phone bill. David says he let Ashley keep the engagement ring.
Order. All rise. That's case number 18 on the calendar in the matter of Weiss versus Sellers. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Weiss, you and Mr. Sellers were engaged to be married. You are no longer engaged. You are no longer involved. You claim he owes you some money.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers says he owes you absolutely nothing. And if you think he owes you some money, sell the engagement ring. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. When did you become engaged?
In December of 2004.
Just in my own curiosity, when did you buy her the ring?
In December.
What kind of a ring did you buy her?
Engagement ring.
Cheap one.
Well, let me see it.
You want to
If
see
you're
it?
wearing it, I wouldn't...
Little ring.
What?
Can I have a tissue, please?
Why, who's chewing gum? Both of them?
You gonna give me a piece of tissue or what? Thank you. You got gum? Cool. All right. Here you are.
Thank you. Oh, that's a very sweet ring. Tell me about when he gave you the ring.
He proposed to me on Christmas and asked me to marry him. He just said, "Will you marry me?" And just gave me the ring.
He handed you the box? When you opened it up, were you excited? Is not an answer.
No, I was not. I was hesitant and felt uncomfortable since he did it in front of his family. And I felt like I didn't have a choice of whether to say. Felt pressured to marry him.
Well, did you wear the ring on New Year's Eve?
I did.
Were you still with his family?
Yes.
Did you wear the ring until you broke up?
I took it off once I got home.
When did you get home?
I think it was January 4th.
When did you break up?
A couple weeks after. He wanted me to move with him to Oklahoma, drop out of school, and start a family with him, and work part-time for the rest of my life. And I decided that wasn't
That wouldn't have been very smart.
Yeah.
Mr. Sellers, for her to do that. How much did you pay for this ring?
$750.
You know he's entitled to the ring back, don't you?
Yes. He told me, I asked him, and he said I could keep it. But I think it's only fair if I give him his ring back, I get my money that he owes me.
Well, is that right?
Yes.
Hey! Look at this happy ending.
I know.
Well, so that would be wonderful, right? You wouldn't
yeah.
mind if you got back the ring and let's say you could sell it. She's claiming a loan, $300 loan because you went to Oklahoma. Is that where you live?
Yes.
It's her claim that this was a loan that she gave you to go to Oklahoma so that you could buy clothes and traveling expenses and that sort of thing. And you said, well, you went together. You both spent money.
Yes.
Is that right?
No.
He didn't spend any money?
No, he got kicked out of the Navy, so therefore he had no money because he was broke.
Well, where did he get the money for the ring?
That's from his old checks, like his previous checks, and he stopped getting paid once he got kicked out.
When did you get kicked out of the Navy?
December of 04.
How come?
Drug use.
Went AWOL.
Didn't like the Navy anymore?
Dishonorable.
Okay. Would you kindly give him back the ring? Now you have the ring. And you can sell it, right?
Yes.
Now, telephone.
Yes.
Let me hear about the telephone.
He didn't have any money. He said he needed a phone. I bought him a brand new phone. He said, I promise I will pay you back. I will pay for the bills once I get my feet on the ground and start getting a job in Oklahoma.
Did you get your feet on the ground?
Kind of.
What do you mean, kind of?
I had a part-time job.
So he never got his act together.
He did actually pay the bills for the first couple of months, but then stopped paying them.
And he canceled the service.
Yes, he changed, which also added a deactivation fee because he had to switch. He switched the telephone company.
How old are you, Miss Weiss?
19.
Who is this gentleman?
This is my father, and that's my classmate, Lorenzo.
I want you to consider yourself very, very fortunate. Because, you know, you could have actually moved to Oklahoma.
I
know. Working part-time, raising a whole mess of kids, no education. Got to look up and say, thank you, God. You were watching over me. All it cost you was a couple of $100.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you pay your own phone bill?
For a couple months.
What happened?
Well, I lost
Well
my
is not an
job.
answer, Mr. Sellers.
I lost my job and I couldn't pay for it, and I tried to pay half of it, but it was up to $300, and I paid $150 of it. So I just never got around to pay the rest of it.
Well, you think that that's right, or you agreed to pay for it? Hmm?
It's not right.
Now you got the ring. You're going to sell the ring. How much do you owe her for the phone bill that you didn't pay?
I'm not really sure how much exactly.
Well, she's going to tell me.
$500.
What?
Over $500.
Really? Let me
Yes.
see.
I don't have the bills.
I know.
Listen to me, my dear.
Yes.
You filed a complaint in which you say that you loaned him $300 that he used for these travel necessities,
Yes.
which I'm discounting.
Okay.
Put your hand down, sir. You can't help her. She
Sorry,
got
Your
into
Honor.
this mess by herself. She's got to get out of it by herself. Maybe she'll learn a good lesson if she gets out of it by herself. So, you have to get the bills. You don't have the bills. How am I supposed to know? He doesn't know what the phone bill is, and you don't know what the phone bill is. That's the first thing that you know. You come to court, and you're supposed to have evidence. If you don't have evidence, I can't help you. Now, you changed phone carriers.
Yes.
Do you know that there's a penalty for that?
No, I did not know that.
He knew.
What was the fee for disconnecting the service?
$175.
Does that sound about right, Bert?
Sounds about right to me.
And I assume, again, you do not have any proof of that. What did you come here with other than your smile?
I don't know.
I don't understand. I really don't understand, Miss Weiss. You want to say something, sir? You're dying to say something, so stand up. I mean, you are the responsible person. You're the person who's been through life, who has certain life experiences. You know when you come to court, you come with?
Evidence, Your Honor.
So?
We attempted to get a copy of the phone bill because of the other party lived in Oklahoma. The phone bill came to Oklahoma and never came to our house in San Diego. There's a $405 balance on the phone and a $175 cancellation fee that Verizon's coming after us for. And we feel that the other party should pay for the phone because he used it.
I absolutely agree with you,
But
sir.
we don't have evidence.
It's the evidence. Now, how much do you believe you owe her on the telephone bill? I'm trying to be as fair to you, Miss Weiss, as I can. You're young, not too swift. How much do you think you owe, Mr. Sellers?
All of it.
How much?
600 and however much.
She didn't say it was $600, Mr. Sellers. I mean, it's absolutely impossible for me to fly blind. You said the phone bill was $500. He said, I owe all of it $600. I mean, it's stupid. It just changed. Take the ring out of your pocket. Then you put it in the other pocket. Dig deeper. Bird, would you give her back the ring, please? Just changed my mind. Now, Miss Weiss, this is what you're going to do. He got taken when he spent $700 for that ring, but there's no question in my mind that you could probably sell it for $3. So sell the ring. I'm going to give you $250 in addition to the ring to help defray the cost of this phone bill. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is that fair, sir?
Yes.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's broke. No education, no job. Basically, what was there good about it?
We really don't talk to each other anymore.
He's stupid.
She agreed to it. It was her idea, too.
Don't be nice and don't help out someone when they're not going to help you out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Whitmer versus Griffin. Step forward, please.
28-year-old hairdresser Lori Whitmer is suing her ex-boyfriend, ambulance builder DeJuan Griffin, for loans to pay his court fines and to reinstate his driver's license.
Miss Whitmer, it is your claim that Mr. Griffin owes you some money for court-related matters.
That is correct.
Mr. Griffin says that everything that you ever gave him, they were gifts.
Gifts.
Gave him, and there were no loans. There was never any intention to repay you, nor an agreement to repay you. When did you meet him?
December 2003 through some friends of mine at a party that we were having.
And when did you make the first loan?
Well, we were seeing each other up until September of 2004. We were still talking, you know, on an on-off basis, and then I got a call.
So you were casually seeing each other? You never lived together? There was never any discussion of marriage? It was just a casual relationship?
Yes.
Okay. September 2004.
I had gotten a call. He was locked up in jail.
For what?
For driving without a license.
You were locked up for driving without a license, Mr. Griffin?
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you locked up?
5 months.
Shh. Please. Mr. Griffin, that's impossible, sir.
It's not impossible. That's why I was there.
Well, why don't you tell me the story of how you got locked up for 5 months for driving without a license?
Well, I had warrants for tickets that I hadn't paid.
Ah, now we're getting somewhere. So you had outstanding warrants for what kind of tickets?
Driving without a license.
How many, please? I don't want to have to say it again. Don't make my job any more difficult. How many times were you stopped for driving without a license, Mr. Griffin?
Maybe 3, 4.
You don't learn?
Yeah, I do learn. I have a driver's license now since I got out.
Well, how old were you the first time you got stopped for driving without a license?
19.
And why didn't you have a license?
Because they were suspended.
What was the reason your license was suspended?
Because I had a speeding ticket that I didn't pay.
All right. You see how we're going to get to this? You see how we're understanding each other now, Mr. Griffin? So you didn't spend 5 months in jail because you were stopped for driving with a suspended license, because they don't do that in this country. They do it, sir, if you get caught 5, 6, 7 times driving without a license, and you've got outstanding warrants for speeding tickets which you didn't pay, and outstanding warrants for the other driving while suspended that you didn't respond to, then eventually the criminal justice system has it up to here with you. And that's what happened, right?
Right.
Good. So you were an habitual person who flaunted the criminal justice system by not showing up, by not paying your fines, and by continuing to drive without a license.
I wasn't habitual.
Habitual means that you do it all the time, sir, and habitual is what you were.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why didn't you ask the mother of your children for the money?
Because she has my 2 sons. She needs whatever she already has.
Well, who does she take care of?
She was taking care of me.
Why would she want to take care of you, Mr. Griffin?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Laurie Whitmer says ex-boyfriend DeJuan Griffin owes for loans to pay court fines after his 6th arrest for driving on a suspended license.
Now, how much did you put up for him to get out of jail?
$947.
That was bail?
No, he was in a work release base, so they were taking money out weekly towards those fines, and then this was towards like a one lump sum so that he can get his license back and to get out sooner.
Okay, now I want you to think back when you went to court, because you were picked up on warrants periodically, is that right?
I have been before.
And you remember going before the judge?
Yes.
And you remember telling the judge that you were going to come back to court, you weren't going to warrant anymore, right?
Yeah.
And you remember telling the judge that you wouldn't drive anymore with a suspended license?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How many times did you tell that to judges when they picked you up?
Like I said, I've been there 3 or 4 times.
So each time you told that to the judge that you were going to report to court, and that was a lie, because you didn't, because you had warrants, right?
Right.
And you said that you would not drive with a suspended license. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you continued to drive with a suspended license, right?
Yep.
So you lied to the judge.
Yeah.
And when you lied to the judge, Mr. Griffin, you had previously raised your right hand and sworn to tell the truth. Is that right?
Right.
But you didn't tell the truth, right?
It wasn't intentional, but that's the way it worked out.
You mean somebody drugged you and put you behind the wheel of a car, Mr. Griffin?
No.
You mean at the time that you made the statements to the court, you intended to keep your promise?
Yes.
But some little men that play in your head, you know, they forced you to get behind the wheel of a car and break your promise.
I had to go to work. I had no other way to get there. I have kids to take care of.
You have children to take care of. Do you live with your children?
No.
How many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
6 and 7.
And you pay child support, sir?
Yep.
How much child support do you pay?
$77 a week.
They take it out of your salary?
Yep.
When you were in jail for 5 months on work release, how much did they take out of your salary for child support?
They didn't, but...
Right. So for 5 months, your kids sort of went on hiatus.
No. I was out every day. I paid myself. I gave money to my children's mom.
How much did you give her?
Probably $2,000, $3,000.
You believe that?
I don't know.
Mr. Griffin, there is no question that Miss Whitmer bailed you out so that you could get out. And then she gave you some more money. How much more money did she give you, Mr. Griffin?
$600 maybe.
How much?
$390.
And what was that for, Miss Whitmer?
To help him reinstate his license.
And how did that come about, that he needed another $390?
March 3rd, he came to my job. He was dropped off, and he asked me if I would drive him to go to this insurance company to reinstate it.
What did you go to her for?
She offered to pay it for me.
When had you called her to tell her you were coming, and could she make a gift to you of this $390? When had you called her?
She'd known for months that
Don't tell me what she knew. I asked you when you called her, because you wouldn't have gone there, sir.
That morning.
Did he call you that morning?
I believe so that morning, but I didn't know he was coming to my job.
What did he say when he called you in the morning?
That he was wanting to go take his test and just the appointment times and stuff like that, but he didn't say he was being dropped off to go and reinstate it.
He didn't say anything about money?
Not that I recall, no.
When you got there, Mr. Griffin, to her job, she drove you to pay this money?
Yeah, but to say that I just came there and out of the blue sprung up, I need some money when we're at the insurance company, that's not the way it happened.
Well, tell me how it happened, Mr. Griffin.
She knew I didn't have all the money. I called her and told her.
What did you call her and tell her for?
Because she was willing to help me pay it.
No. Why did you call her and tell her?
Because I needed more money.
Why didn't you get another job?
Why didn't I get another job?
That was my question.
I didn't need another job.
You did need another job if you didn't have more money.
I didn't need another job because she was willing to pay for it.
Why didn't you ask the mother of your children for the money? She's closer to you. You made 2 babies with her.
Because she has my 2 sons, she needs whatever that she already has.
Well, who does she take care of?
She was taking care of me.
Why would she want to take care of you, Mr. Griffin?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Who do you live with?
I take care of my 2 sons and a sick mom of mine.
Just a second. You have 2 children?
2 boys.
How old are they?
5 and 2.
Mr. Griffin, are you a lowlife?
No way.
Yes, you are. Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Let me tell you why you're a lowlife. Because you just said to me, Mr. Griffin, the mother of my 2 children needs all the money that she can get because she takes care of my 2 children.
What's wrong
So
with
that's
that?
why I'm not calling her. Why do you think, sir, that this young lady who has 2 children needs money any less than the mother of your 2 children?
Because she was always willing to give it to me.
You're a lowlife.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
And a taker. And I don't see what she sees in you, sir. Certainly it's very well hidden to me. But you owe her $1,337 because she bailed you out. Next time, if you need money, Mr. Griffin, get another job. You're supposed to do the right thing, and you're not supposed to take advantage of people. Do I make myself clear, sir?
Sure.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nine-year-old payroll clerk Rebecca Moore for unpaid credit card charges. Nancy says the payment stopped when her son rebuffed Rebecca's advances.
Come to order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 441 on the calendar in the matter of Griffin versus Moore.
Thank you, Bert.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant met when I believe her husband and your son were incarcerated together.
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint alleges that you developed a friendship and you allowed the defendant to charge certain items on your credit card with the agreement that she would repay you or pay the bill as it came in. Initially she did, then she stopped. And you allege that when she stopped paying, she owed you $842.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So when did you first meet the defendant?
I think approximately about a year ago. My son was incarcerated, and he was her husband's roommate. So we became good friends, and we would go shopping at the Avenue, and every time she would charge anything, she was so good about paying it. I mean, it was probably most of the time before it even became due. When my son got out of incarceration, she had a type of attraction to my son. It became almost impossible for me to have conversations with her because I did not want to be in the middle.
Your Honor, that's not the truth.
Just a second.
And after a lot of harassing phone calls, I had asked to quit because I couldn't take it anymore. Then at that time, she refused to pay for what was left to be owed on my credit cards.
What was left?
This is the deposits of as far back as we started this. These are all that she's charged, all she's paid, what she owes is left.
So she paid on time until October?
Yes, ma'am, till the end of October.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
What she said is correct as far as our friendship. Her son was incarcerated with my husband. When things went bad was because her son had a drug problem. And I tried to help him.
Your Honor, this is irrelevant.
Just a second.
Her son asked me for a ride to the interstate. I took him to my house instead of the interstate. Miss Griffin got to my house before we did. Basically, her son had took a video camera from her. She had searched her son's coat. She pulled out the camera. So then she left, and her son was still there with me. I then took her son to his girlfriend that lived in Charleston, and that's when his mother, she turned against me. She told me our friendship was over because I tried to help her son.
What date was that?
Ma'am, to be honest with you, I'm not sure.
Okay. She says that you did not pay the October bill, which
Ma'am,
is $800.
I have a check.
Which is $800. Listen to me.
Okay.
Which is $846.05.
Yes, ma'am, I understand
the October bill. Okay, let me see.
And I'm not denying that there were credit card charges. There were. I have a check from State Street Bank that was given, that it was a 401k check that I received from my employer. I have a copy of the front and back of that check that I gave her permission to go get out of my post office box and endorse and deposit into her account. She gave me $368 back.
May I see it, please?
And I have it where she endorsed my name and her name on the back. That's not my signature. Because at the time I was on a medical leave, she knew that my money was a little tight. I told her to take the check to pay for the bills because I never missed paying her.
I'm just trying to find the date on this, when she endorsed it.
It was on 10/27 on my, it's on I think the second or third page of my bank account statements, and you'll see right next to it where I cashed a check for the exact amount and gave it to Miss Moore at my home right in front of my husband. There'll be a witness to that.
Her husband has never been present.
Just a second.
We've made any charges or any money exchange.
Just a second. So what you're telling me, Miss Griffin, is that at the time your friendship was coming to an end, the defendant gave you a check, which you did in fact cash, in the amount of $1,012.99.
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave her the entire amount of money.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't make sense to me, Miss Griffin.
That weekend, Miss Moore came to my house.
Yeah.
I gave her the full amount of cash, handed it to her.
Right.
She said she wanted to give me $300 because she had a rainbow rental or something that was pressing and had to be paid. And she said when she got her check on Tuesday...
Let me see the rest of her papers, please.
When she got the rest of her check on Tuesday, that she would take care of the rest of it.
Your Honor, I could have...
And the whole time Miss Moore was out on disability...
Just a second.
I could have cashed that check myself.
I cashed her check because she did not have a bank account at that time. I took care of things for her. She had some drug problem, and
Thanks to you.
she tried to commit suicide.
Not interested in that.
Well,
Your
I mean,
Honor,
I
that
was
is
there
not true. I
taking
have
care
two
of her.
police
I
reports.
didn't want to turn my back on her.
Your Honor, that is...
Were there any witnesses present to the transfer of this $1,012 to Miss Moore
My
on the
husband,
27th?
Michael Griffin, was there.
Is he here?
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
Honor, he
Stand,
was never
Michael.
present during any of these things.
Just a second.
It was just me and her.
Go ahead.
Mrs. Moore wanted to meet with my wife at our home because whoever she was seeing for therapeutic reasons told her to come to closure between Kevin and Nancy. And I was standing right there in my bedroom. She was sitting in the blue chair to the left of my bed when Nancy handed her $1,012 and change, and Rebecca handed her back $300 to deposit in Nancy's account.
No, ma'am, that is not true. Mr. Griffin was never
Now,
present
just a
during
second.
any of these transactions.
Just a second. I don't see whether she was given credit for the $300.
On the first page, every deposit that she made to me is on the left. Every bill that I wrote to the Avenue or any of my other credit cards
So is what you're telling
to the right.
Is what you're telling me that at the time she made these purchases in October, she still had an outstanding bill to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor,
She made-
also Mrs. Griffin shopped along with me, and she had stuff on that bill as well, where our stuff was added together and not separately.
That's wrong, Your Honor. If you look at my receipts, I've been very careful, and she had one receipt, and I had one receipt.
Always a big mistake.
Your Honor, and
You know, you understand this is always a big mistake to do.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Miss Griffin, who it appears over an extended period of time, had been very good to you financially by allowing you to make these purchases when you didn't have the cash to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Would all of a sudden say that you have an outstanding bill to her of $846 when you didn't?
Your Honor, like I said, when our friendship separated, it was due to the fact that her son stole from me and he went to jail for a drug
That's
charge.
untrue, Your
And I
Honor.
have the police report here. That's when mine and her friendship went sour, because her son came to me. He asked me for help. He spent 3 days at my home when she didn't know where he was. When I told her that he had been at my home, she got very upset with me for not contacting her.
What date was that?
It was before Halloween.
11/3.
So it was after this?
No, this was the weekend prior to 11/3.
Was it before or after the $1,000 check was cashed by the plaintiff?
This was after.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. We were still
And-
very much a part of each other's lives at that time. She had continued to call. I said, please do not call me anymore. I got so upset that I wound up in the hospital on her last phone call.
Okay.
Your Honor,
I believe you, sir. Listen to me. I believe you, sir, when you indicate that $1,012 was passed. Were you present when $300 was given to your wife?
Yes, Your Honor.
How was that given?
In cash.
$100 bill?
Rebecca, pardon me, Your Honor. Rebecca handed back cash, $300 cash to Nancy.
Not true, Your Honor. That is not true. And I have somebody
You have
here
your
with-
bank records with you?
No, because at the time I did not have a bank account. She was correct about that. I did not have a bank account. But I could have cashed that check myself through my employer's bank.
But you didn't.
But I always cashed
You
my
didn't.
checks by myself. She
You
never
said
did
you
it
had a
before.
witness. I'll hear your witness if your witness has anything germane. If he does.
Yes,
What is
ma'am.
your name?
Alan Young. I've been a friend of Rebecca's for 15 years. Rebecca asked me would I give her a loan of $300 because she owed Mrs. Griffith some money. She borrowed money from me that night because she said she had to pay on her rent or something. So I kind of believed her.
What is your rent, Miss Moore?
$385.
Well, even if she took all the money she owed you, you still had the $300 for rent.
I understand
So why did you
that.
need to borrow money from him for?
Because I had additional bills that I owed for besides paying her, but I wanted to pay her and have her out of the way because I always paid her before the bills were due.
Do you have the statement from your account, Miss Griffin, as to what payments you made on the account in November?
Yes, ma'am, that would be right in those payments there. I'll be glad
I
to
see.
show
You
it to
made a deposit on the 30th of October.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, she was paid in full when she received that check.
No, ma'am, I was not.
Yes, you were.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because I see no other basis for her depositing only $300 into her checking account on the 30th
Well, Your
of
Honor, I
October.
can't help if that's the only thing she deposited. She was paid.
I have to make a determination based upon evidence. The evidence indicates that on or about the time that that check was cashed, she did deposit $300 into her account. So I'm entering a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $842. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The jail Monday.
She is married, and at the time I had a fiance.
I lost a friendship on kind of her son's drug problem.
She knew that, and she was still coming on to me.
She can't rule everybody.
The next case.
All parties on Gregorian versus Scaturio. Step forward, please.
23-year-old cashier Mariam Gregorian is suing former live-in boyfriend, 23-year-old salesman Scott Scaturio, for his share of a security deposit. Scott is countersuing for the cost to rent a U-Haul, storage costs, and harassment.
Ms. Gregorian, you and the defendant lived together. Were you boyfriend and girlfriend at the time? According to your complaint, you had an arrangement with the defendant that since he had no money, you would put down the security deposit on the apartment, and he was to reimburse you for half.
For half, yes.
And half of the security deposit was $600?
Yes.
And you also say that the time that you left the apartment, because he was threatening, you gave him an additional $200.
For April's month's rent, yes.
So he says that you actually owe him money because he was forced, as a result of your leaving, to hire a U-Hauler to take all of his furniture out. Is that right?
Correct.
And that was not the agreement, that you were going to reimburse her for half of the security deposit. Your agreement was she would pay for the security deposit, first, last, etc., and you would pay for the household furnishings and all of the household appliances.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
When did you move in together?
We moved in February 1st together.
And when did you leave the apartment?
April 2nd.
And you would have an argument at that time?
Yes, we did.
Okay. So you were ready to call it quits, and you were ready to call it quits, I assume.
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
Now, you agree that she did put down this $1,200.
The $1,200, correct.
And to fulfill your part of the obligation, you purchased all the furniture.
Correct.
And you purchased all the appliances.
Correct.
In the U-Haul that you hired, did you put all the furniture?
Yes.
And did you put all the appliances that you purchased?
Yes.
Did she take any of the furniture?
No.
Did she take any of the appliances?
No, ma'am.
Well, so then let's understand this. On the one side, she put down the $1,200. You purchased all the stuff, but you have all the stuff,
Correct.
right? She's out the $1,200, including half that should be yours, right?
No, because that wasn't the agreement.
Well, the understanding was that if she put down, according to you, that if she put down the $1,200, your capital contribution to the apartment would be, I assume, purchasing furniture and appliances about the same amount of money, $1,200.
Correct.
Did you spend $1,200?
About that, maybe a little more.
But you haven't. You didn't say to her, I'll give you half, right?
Correct.
Why not?
Because the agreement was before we even took the apartment that if anything should happen to the relationship, that we would at least stay as roommates in the apartment.
Nobody stays on as roommates. That's stupid. In any event, sir, I don't believe you had that conversation. So what I'm asking you is, let's talk about money. Let's say you spent $1,200 on furniture, appliances. She spent $1,200, right? Each of you should be out $600. That's math. I'm not really good at math. But am I making myself clear to you, Bird?
Very.
Right. So you got $1,200 worth of furniture and appliances. That's on your side. But you kept it. Now, you want to give her $600? You want to give her half the furniture?
I'm not going to give her half the furniture.
So that's $600 for you. Now tell me about this $200.
The $200 was April 2nd when I left. He told me I owe him April's rent. And I felt that I didn't need to because it was April 2nd. It wasn't a complete month yet. I didn't need to give him anything.
But you did?
But I did, because at the time that he had a spare key to my car, and he told me that he would hide my car if he needed to until I gave him the money. And I took the $200 and I basically threw it at him.
So, cheap price, $200. You don't get that back. You get your $6, because I believe that that was your agreement. Now, you hired a U-Haul. Why didn't you stay in the apartment?
Because due to her leaving, I couldn't afford the apartment on my own.
Well, just a minute. How much was the rent?
$600 a month.
And she had already given you 2 for April.
She had not given me 2 for April. During the argument, she actually opened her closet, which she already had her stuff packed, and just left.
She didn't give you an additional $200?
No, I left the apartment before she even finished taking her stuff out.
Really?
Your Honor, that's not true because we were fighting and there was a person on the phone. He was speaking to his mother and a friend of his, telling them how I started out being a psychopath. He sat there and watched me leave and pack up.
What date did you move out?
I believe it was the first week in May.
You stayed for the entire month of April.
Yes.
So you lived there. She didn't, right?
Correct.
So you pay for it. And then you had to move because of the rent. Where did you move to?
I'm actually staying with my sister right now.
Okay, you paying any rent there?
No.
Well, look at it this way. You spent $300 for a U-Haul?
Approximately, yes.
That would have been your share of the $300 worth of rent, right?
Correct.
And you couldn't afford the apartment anyway, right? So, and you got all that nice furniture. So what are you complaining about?
Your Honor, can I say something?
No, I want to ask him I want to find out what he's complaining about.
Actually, what I'm complaining about is, Your Honor, she stated in the police report, actually, when she filed for court, that I threatened her life and I threatened to do her harm. She actually, I have mail here, which she had actually forwarded to my sister's address. If I was threatening her life, I don't understand why she would forward mail to my sister's address where she knows that I go, when I also have police reports stating that they heard messages of her threatening to kill me, etc., etc.
Well, let me see the letter that you have, sir. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but let me take a look at it.
I forwarded the mail to his sister's address because at the time when I had nowhere to go, she offered to take me in. That's why I did it.
Whatever. It's really not dispositive of anything. All right, you owe $600. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't feel like I owe him anything.
Should have broke even. Nobody should have been owed anything if you really look at it, because she left, she vacated the property without notice.
Hope to become friends further in the future and put this all behind us.
Since the day she left the apartment, that she has continually harassed me, threatened my life, threatened my vehicle, etc.
He's a tough person to speak to.
Farm owner Imran Hauer for illegally repossessing her car. Imran is countersuing, claiming Erica damaged his credit.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 525 on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Hauer. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Smith, the defendant was your mother's boyfriend, according to what I've read. And a couple of years ago, you purchased a car. You had no credit. The agreement was that the car would be purchased in the defendant's name. You would make all of the payments on the car and maintain the insurance. It is your claim that you did just that. And despite the fact that you made all the payments on the car, the defendant repossessed the car.
Yes.
Is that right? The defendant says that you did have such an agreement, but that you were, in fact, irresponsible in making those payments in a prompt fashion. That's why he repossessed the car. And he's countersuing. Ultimately, you say in your answer that she destroyed your credit, and that's what you're suing for. Is that right?
Also lost the value of the car, or what's the market value today, and what's owed on the loan.
Okay. So when was the car purchased?
In February of '99.
Okay. When was the car repossessed?
January 17, 2001.
So you had the car for almost 2 years?
Uh-huh.
And what were the monthly payments on the car?
The monthly payments were $426.89.
When were the payments due?
On the 27th of the month with a 20-day grace period.
Is the 20-day grace period in any of the paperwork that you have?
We don't have any paperwork. I have the payment book showing when the payment is due.
The payment book would also say what your grace period is. It should say. No, all it says is that it's due on the 27th of each month.
The bank let us know that we had 20 days grace period.
You have to show me that in writing. This says the 27th.
Okay.
Okay? So now you're going to show me 2 years' worth of payments of $426.89.
Yes.
Can
I
have
paid
it, please?
$427 just because
it was easier.
89 cents. It was easier.
Okay.
I don't have every receipt because we were friends.
No.
Okay.
Every receipt you have to have.
Okay.
Why did you black out these?
I didn't do that. When you go, because I'm not Imran Hauer, the tellers will mark it out because they don't want me knowing the balance on the car. That's the big argument in this is I've wanted to know for a long time what's going to principal, what's going to interest each time, and Imran hasn't kept up on his end of the deal by letting me know that by calling the bank.
Just a second. I only have 12 receipts. You should have 23 receipts.
I don't have those because some of them are in the car that he came and took.
That's not true either.
I made every payment on that car.
But you only have proof of 1 year when you kept the car for 2 years, right?
Yes, but...
Okay. Now,
you'll see
do you have a payout from the credit union?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
As to what payments were received and what payments were not received?
I have the payout as of 12/29 of this past year. That's the last one I got.
Let me see it.
It was made from since then.
Let me see it.
Here you go.
Because you repossessed the car immediately thereafter?
Yes.
Okay. How many payments does it say she missed on this thing?
Since December 99, she's made 11 late payments. And that our agreement was to be responsible as far as...
Well, I see the late charges.
Yes. Also, here's some here late notices, too, that would also...
Your Honor, I never received any of those. And I never knew that the payments were late that long.
That's
or
not
I would
true.
have never made the payments late that long.
That's not true, Your Honor. Countless times I phoned the plaintiff. She would keep saying she made the payment, she made the payment. And then until I found out that this was going to go on my credit and was serious, then I started doing some investigation. And it has damaged my credit, which I also have proof of, too.
I never knew until he came, took my car on January, it was either the 16th or the 17th, I never knew that the payments were late until I went out to get in my car and it was gone. I have the police report showing that I called the police because my car was, obviously to me it was stolen. I didn't know who had taken it.
Well, I have documentation here, madam. It says payments past due 2. That's on January 8th.
I was not aware of that. That's what I'm saying is the payments had gotten behind one time. Imran had me call and pose as his secretary because he wanted me to tell the bank that he was out of the country so I could speak with a lady named Nicole.
Just a minute.
And I have witnesses.
In July, you had payment past due.
That was the only time I was aware I was late.
You can't be late.
That was the only time I
You can't
was
be late.
aware.
You can't be late. You were aware. You were aware
I
because...
was not aware because I never received any paperwork on that.
You received phone calls from
I
me.
never
But don't yell at each other. You were aware of the fact, Miss Smith, that on the 27th of each month, they were to receive a check. I've just looked at some of the receipts that you sent. You pay on the 9th of the month. Now, those weren't early payments. Those were late payments. You paid on the 9th of October. You paid on the 13th of January. You paid on the 24th of October. That wasn't an early payment. That was almost a month late.
I was never aware it was a late because when we got behind in July, Your Honor, I had made payment arrangements, Imran and I, with the bank, and I took care of that. Now, if the bank's saying I'm late after I took care of the agreement we had with the bank, I was not aware of that.
Well, you should have been aware of it, madam. You made some of your payments almost a month late. You made none of them, except for maybe one, on time. One out of all of these payments. That's irresponsible.
We both knew that there was a 20-day grace period on the car.
That's the written documentation of your contract, which says it's due on that date. You have nothing to show me a 20 days grace period, but even if that's true, of the receipts that you gave me, many are made even beyond a 20-day grace period.
They're not made beyond the 20-day grace period because I don't have every one of the receipts there. What I'm
the
trying
ones
to say,
that you gave me, of the ones that you gave me, many are beyond even a 20-day grace period. Some of them are almost a month late.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There is no reason for him to damage his credit by your making late payments on the car.
Your Honor, it wouldn't have been late. If I would have known, I would have found a way to get the money to make the payment. I wouldn't have let it go late. I need a car.
Your Honor,
I have no
told her
car.
repeatedly.
2 kids, no car.
Ms. Smith, you never made your payments on the 27th of the month. Now, if it's just your credit that you're concerned about, I can understand it. You know, if you say, I'm going to destroy my own credit, I can do that.
I never intentionally destroyed his credit.
It's not a question of intentionally. You probably never intentionally destroyed your own credit.
How come he didn't let me know beforehand when my 3-year-old daughter went and spent the night at his house in November? He wanted me to go, me and my brother, go to Mammoth Mountain and go snowboarding with him. How come I didn't know then? We were friends.
I constantly told her she was late. I gave her chances until I started going on my credit. I was trying to be the nice guy and help her out.
You had an agreement with him.
Well, what I'm trying to
And I don't know why you needed a car that was this expensive anyway if you had lousy credit.
Because I was young and I wanted a nice car, and he agreed to help me get one.
We had a car beforehand, and Imran...
Just a second. Am I speaking to you? And you don't just shout out in a courtroom. That's not what you do. Are you her brother?
He's my boyfriend.
I'm her boyfriend.
Boyfriend. Okay. I assume if you have a boyfriend, and if your boyfriend is employed, then what he does is he says to you, I don't want you to have any further problems with this car. I will take out a loan and get it out of his name.
We had a 97 truck in his name that we sold back to the bank. We got rid of a car to make sure that we kept making the payments on the 99 Sebring.
If you have no money and you have no credit, you don't buy a $23,000 car.
Well, the verbal agreement...
You buy a car for $1,500 just to get you around. That's what you do.
He shouldn't have agreed. He even agreed to help me make the payments on every month, and he never did that, which I didn't care because I made my payment. I have a witness stating that she can tell you that he did say that he would help me make the payments every month. He was acting as my stepfather. He told me on the phone the reason he took my car, he was upset because he saw my mom driving the car.
That's not the reason why.
This is what I got on the phone. We came back on the 14th. Imran had left the dirty, vulgar message on the recorder. How come he didn't keep it up on his end of the bargain by letting me know what was going on? He waited all the way till January. If it's been late since July, wouldn't you keep up on your end of the bargain, you know, if your credit is going to be ruined?
Ms. Smith, I believe him when he says he told you that he was getting late notices. I believe it when he says to me that he let you know in July of 2000 that he had gotten a late notice.
He got the late notice, not me.
No, that he let you know that he got a late notice in July. Because anybody who's in a circumstance like his would do something like even mention to you, hey, listen, I got a late notice in July.
We never even spoke until,
I don't believe
until
it.
November.
Okay, let me hear your counterclaim, sir.
Okay, I have a car that I never should pay payments on if she kept her end of the bargain. She hasn't. She has damaged my credit. I'm already at a loss.
So what do you want?
The difference of the value of the car, what it is today, versus what was owed on the loan.
You have the car.
Yeah, but now I owe $7,200 on the car because I can't return the car.
That's very possible, sir, so you have your choice. If you sell the car, and if there is a discrepancy between what is owed on the car, then perhaps you will have a cause of action against the plaintiff. Until that time, all you have is speculation.
Will 2 appraisals make a difference? I got appraised? It won't? Okay.
Absolutely not, sir. I'm smarter than you are.
All right.
You got me? 2 appraisals mean absolutely nothing. What you do is you sell the car unless if the plaintiff, who you, I assume, had some kind feelings for a long time, wishes to, along with her boyfriend, refinance the car in their own names. Perhaps you'll be taken off the hook. Do you understand?
Yes, I have.
If they don't do that, you sell the car, and whatever the difference is, you may have a cause of action against the plaintiff. You got it?
Yes.
Now, you work?
No, not right now. I'm off because I injured my back at work.
Well, then I don't see how you can have a car if you're not working.
He's solely supporting me. Well, when I had the car...
If he's totally supporting you, then I'm strongly urge, if he can afford to make payments on this car, take out a loan, you get your car back. Isn't that a good idea?
Yes, ma'am.
In your name.
I've tried to contact Imran since the car's been taken
you don't
away.
want to lose any money, do you?
Of course not.
And if what you're telling me is that you will lose money if you sell this car, and your chances of collecting from her are zippo, since she's not employed, I would strongly urge you to work out an agreement with this lovely gentleman here so that he can get a car loan and he can pay off this note, right?
I've tried that.
Perfect.
We would have got a loan in his name in the beginning, but his credit isn't good enough.
Well, then what do you want me to do? Your credit's no good and you have no job. You said his credit is no good, he has a job. What do you want him to do? Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's jealous, and he's just...
That's the bottom line. He saw her mother driving the car. He still has feelings
and
for
he
her.
knows that.
He's a childish man.
He's the one lying about it.
I feel sorry if you feel this way. It's not a personal matter. It's business.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Schmidt versus Hansen, step forward.
30-year-old warehouse worker Robert Schmidt is suing his ex-girlfriend, 28-year-old homemaker Tracy Hansen, for ruining his credit by failing to make payments on a car.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant were in a relationship several years ago, and while in that relationship, although not married, you were foolish enough, the two of you, to co-sign some loans for cars. When the relationship terminated, it was agreed that the defendant would take one of the cars and be solely responsible for the car payments.
Yes.
Everything went along just swimmingly. You, as a matter of fact, went into a new relationship, married,
Yes.
went to apply for a mortgage. And at that time, you were told that your credit was no good because of this car loan.
Yes.
Ultimately, you say you were forced to take back the car, you traded it in, paid off the loan, and you want the defendant to be responsible for that loan.
Yes.
When was this car purchased?
February '97.
When did you stop making the car payments?
It wasn't that I stopped.
Well, when did you begin to get late in your car payments?
I was always late.
Well, that's always a problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't think she ever anticipated that you would take back this car.
No, she did not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Schmidt says ex-girlfriend Tracy Hansen failed to make payments on a car. He's suing her for ruining his credit.
When did you find out that she was in default on the car?
I received the final letter that pushed me to go in and take care of the matter on August 25th.
Can I see the letter, please?
Yes. Numerous other phone calls left on my answer machine from GMAC regarding collection of the payments.
They say here that your account is in default for the July 15th, August 15th, 2000 installments.
The history of the loan, there was 11 times she was past 30 days late.
Okay, so what did you do, sir?
I first attempted to tell her that I was just going to come and we were going to voluntarily work it, sell the car. She denied me that opportunity.
What did she say?
Because she mailed the payment off. She had the check in the mail. She did a post-date check.
Okay, so she said she's not going to let you take the car
Yep.
and sell it.
Yep.
So you went and took the car while she was at work?
Yes.
Okay.
I took it to the dealer to have him appraise it, and she somehow came and got the car without my awareness. I went and had a local police department witness me go and retrieve the car again, and then I had put it in storage for the fear she would take it in again.
Okay, so you traded it in.
Yes.
What was the difference in what you got for the car and what you had to pay?
There was no equity in the car, so what the loan value minus what the dealer gave me $2,100 in equity above and beyond the payoff, which he valued the car trade-in value.
Listen to me, sir.
Okay.
What was left due and owing on the loan at the time that you took it?
$6,805.
Is that figure correct?
Yes.
What year car was this?
This is '97 Chevrolet Lumina, is the old car.
Do you know what the Blue Book value of the car is?
Retail $71.50, trade-in $53.75, and a loan from the bank would go $46.75.
Because you're suing her for $4,530.
Yes.
Well,
may I also add the reason why I traded the vehicle in, I did not have the financial situation to be able to take a $1,800 loss to pay off the balance of the loan, because I would not be able to sell the vehicle out privately without paying the loan in full to transfer title. So
that may be.
That is why.
But I am attributing to you what the Blue Book says you would get on trade-in for this car, which is $53.75.
Okay.
Which leaves a balance due and owing of $1,430, not $4,300, because that wasn't your loss.
I'm still paying on the rest of that loan. What the loan for the '97 Lumina was not paid for rolled over onto my new vehicle.
That's fine. Well, you're driving the new vehicle. I mean, I didn't see the Blue Book, but I'm taking your word for it. How many miles were on the car?
93,000.
That's a lot of miles. Let's say you got $5,000 on a trade-in. That's $1,800.
The point that I just couldn't understand why she couldn't make the payments is because I am financially supporting my kids, $702 a month. I don't see how she, living in a trailer court, cannot make a car payment. I attempted to contact her regarding disposing of the vehicle and held her liable for half of what the owed.
Mr. Schmidt, I don't think that you did anything wrong. I think that she was totally irresponsible. I think that she didn't give a hoot about your credit. I don't think she ever anticipated that you would take back this car.
No, she did not.
Can you think of a reason why you were not responsible for this $1,800 deficit?
Because I had made arrangements with GMAC to pay it. I called them and told them that they're satisfied. I have arrangements. Check by phone.
Show me. Show me a letter from GMAC after August 25th when he received this letter.
That's the only letter I received also.
Well, then show me a letter from GMAC that says, we have resolved all issues. We are pleased to extend your credit and pleased to
No, because the next day he took it and I stopped payment on the checks. So they didn't mail me anything. They didn't have the chance to.
Madam, what I'm saying to you is if you have no proof that you had made arrangements to extend your time to pay the loan, I'm not interested.
Okay.
So you are responsible for the remainder of this money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. That's all.
Insurance agent Tarvia LeHue for an unpaid loan while she was having financial difficulties. Eric says once she got the money, she cut him out of her life.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 559 on the calendar, the matter of Smith versus LeHue. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Smith, according to your complaint, you were in a romantic relationship with the defendant and made a loan to her in the amount of $1,400.
That's correct.
She says you did give her $1,400, but the operative word was gift. It was just a gift. How long did you know her before you gave her this $1,400?
We were in a romantic relationship for approximately 2 months.
Under what circumstances did you give her the money?
Well, we had a downfall in our relationship in September, which was my fault.
September of 2000?
September of 2000.
Okay.
And I was at fault, but I sincerely cared for the woman, so I wanted to get back with her. We had begun having discussions about how we might do that. She had never promised that she wanted to get back to me, but she admitted she still had feelings for me.
That I would be your friend.
Shh. Don't interrupt him. Go ahead.
A couple weeks into that status of the relationship, it became evident that she had financial problems.
What do you mean it became evident?
Well, all of our conversations would center around the fact that she had problems with her bills. The reason she told me was she had paid a school loan in full, and thinking that she would have enough to cover her day-to-day bills, but could not. This came out about, I'd say about a week of discussing her, financial distress. Basically, she would be vague on the phone, stating that she did have financial problems, but wouldn't delve into it because she didn't trust me because I had betrayed her, and so on and so forth. But eventually she did divulge it, and I, offered several suggestions to go to her mother, to others people, to apply for a loan. She said she had bad credit, and so there was no way she could get the money. And I had strong feelings for her and her son, and I wanted her to weather that storm. So I offered her the money.
What did you say to her?
That I can offer her, whatever amount of cash she has, but it would be on a loan basis. And I offered suggestions on how I could be there for her so that if she had an extra job, waiting tables or something like that, that she could obtain extra income. I would watch her son or whatever. But I'm no position to offer that money as a loan.
Well, did you say it? Just a second.
I mean,
you're telling that to me. Did you tell that to her?
Yes.
That you were in no position to offer it as a gift. You don't mean a loan. Did you say that to her?
I stated that it would be a loan.
Well, tell me about what she said to you. I need $1,400.
Well, I said to her, I said, Tarvia, how much are you in the hole for? I mean, just break it down.
That's what I want to hear, the conversation.
She said, well, I need about $1,400. And I told her, well, I can give you $1,400. The word give as in
Oh, just tell me the conversation. I will interpret it, sir.
Okay.
You said I can give you $1,400. And what did she say?
She said, well, she didn't feel comfortable with that because of the status of our relationship.
And what did you say?
And I said, well, then, it's up to you. I'm offering that to you, and you're certainly welcome to take it, but as a loan. It's not a gift. I'm a physician, but I'm not board certified in a residency yet, so I only earn, X amount of dollars, and I have significant debt.
Don't tell that to me. Listen to me, Mr. Smith, Dr. Smith.
Yes.
Don't tell that to me unless that's what you said to her. I don't think that's what you said to her. I'm not board certified, so I'm in no position to offer it to you as a gift.
Well,
I want
I
to
did
know
say,
the conversation.
I did say, Tari, you know, I have a lot of debt myself, but I have credit because of my income potential, so I can get whatever you need.
I can get whatever you need.
Right.
I want you to tell me if there was ever any discussion with her about how she was going to pay you back.
Yes.
Tell me about that part of the discussion.
She told me that the owner, she works at an insurance company, it's family owned, that the owner was planning to have a plastic surgical operation done, and that in her stead, or absence, Tarvia could perform extra paperwork on the weekends, and for that she would compensate her. And I, you know, when I lent the money, I said, well, then we'll make a fair payment plan, something that's reasonable that you can pay back over time.
And what did she say?
And she said, okay. You know, I don't think she felt comfortable with it because of her situation. Well, I think she was embarrassed, one, that she had financial problems, and two, because of the status of her relationship, whether we were going to get back together or not. She felt uncomfortable receiving money, but she needed it.
I know, I understand that, but she did say to you that she was going to try to get this extra work so that she could pay you back.
Yes, she did.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Okay. As far as the conversation is concerned, he asked me over repeatedly what was wrong with me because I was vague. I didn't talk very much to him on the phone. I told him after our breakup, after we stopped talking or whatever, he pursued me and pursued me and pursued me, and I told him that we could be friends, that I would still speak to him and talk to him on a friendship level. I never led him on or anything more than that. I spoke to him as a friend. Okay. He asked me what was wrong. I seemed vague. What was the problem, you know, and so on and so on. And it wasn't just one conversation. I talked to him more than a week, and he still said I seemed vague. I told him that I did have problems. He kept asking me what it was, what he could do to help, guessing at what it may be, this and this and that. Eventually, I just told him, you know, I have financial problems right now, you know, and he's like, well, what is it? I can help you with it. What do you need me to help you with? And I told him no. I didn't need help from him. He said, well, you know, could you go to a family member? Could you? And I just said, no, you know, I'll figure it out. And he said, no, you know, I care about you. I want to work it out. What can I do to help you? You can ask him. He did actually. I mean, please let me help you. Please, I'll do whatever it takes to help you. That's exactly what he said.
Okay.
You know, I told him no for quite a while. Then finally he's like, well, I just want to help you, you know, whatever. I will give you this, is what he said. The whole thing about him not
Just a second. I can give you what?
I will give you what money you need.
Did you tell him in what amount?
Yes.
$1,400?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, have a discussion with him about the place where you work and being able to get extra hours?
The place where I work, on Saturdays, which we do this quite often, we can stay late and do extra stuff.
So you did have that discussion with him?
But I could do that at any time.
I don't know.
Yes, I did, yes.
So that you could make extra money?
Yes, so that I could make extra money, period.
Not to return the money that he was going to give you?
So I could make extra money, period, because I was in I did have financial problems, yes.
Well, once he gave you the $1,400, did that take care of your financial problems?
Pretty much.
Well, if that took care of your financial problems, then it's reasonable to have said that you could work an extra hour or so on Saturdays to get that money back to him over a period of time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's reasonable to say that.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eric Smith claims ex-girlfriend Tarvia LaHue owes him for a loan. Tarvia says Eric gave her that money.
Okay, Mr. Smith, he was your friend.
He was my friend until he started stalking me and harassing me and waiting outside my house, calling me all times of the night, calling me at work, telling me he was going to kill himself, asking me who would take care of my son, totally obsessing over me, calling my friends, finding out.
Was that before or after the $1,400?
This is after.
Well, I understand from you that he transferred the money directly into your bank. Is that right?
Yes.
On what date did he transfer the money into your bank?
I don't know the exact date.
Give me
October 19th, Your Honor.
When did you stop speaking to him after October 19th?
I actually never stopped speaking to him. You mean on a friendly basis?
On any basis.
I didn't stop speaking to him until I changed my phone number in January because he kept calling at all times of the night.
Mr. Smith, when was she supposed to make her first payment to you?
December 1st.
And how did you come up with that date with her?
Well, I lent her the money on, we made an agreement, a written agreement on October 18th, 2000.
You have a written agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
May I see it, please?
I also have evidence of transfers. I don't know if you need that.
There's no issue as far as the money is concerned, but I would like to see just the written agreement you have with her.
That's the written agreement?
That's the written agreement.
Okay.
Where did you go to medical school, Dr. Smith?
I went to the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine.
Did you sign that?
Yes.
When? When?
The date is on the page.
When did you sign it, I asked you?
On the date.
On what date did you sign that document, madam?
October.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Where were you?
He brought this to my house.
That's incorrect, Your Honor.
Did he bring it to your house before or after he transferred the money to your account?
After.
May I respond, Your Honor?
No. Can I see now from that packet the day of the transfer of the money to her account?
Originally, at my residence, which is where the transfer took place,
I just want to see.
I wrote checks. Then the next day, it appeared that 3 days was not enough time for the check to clear and for her to resolve her financial difficulties. So she held on to the checks, returned them to me later that evening, and during the course of that afternoon, I had made a wire transfer from my credit card to my checking account to her account.
So the day before you made this wire transfer to her account, she signed this
That's
loan
correct.
agreement.
I would not issue
Of
money
course.
without a contract.
Well, how do you account for this if it was a gift?
I signed that after the fact.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, no, no. You signed it before. It's dated the 18th of October of 2000.
Right. That's the date that the money was transferred.
No, it was transferred on the 19th. I have the bank statement. But what difference does that make, whether it was done on the 18th or the 19th?
It does, because it was a gift. He gave it to me.
And what you signed this document for, that you were going to
So he would leave me alone?
You mean in the one day?
No, in the
In the one day you wanted him to leave you alone?
No.
So then what'd you sign the loan agreement for?
So he would leave me alone after the fact.
You're pretty slick. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,432, which is including the interest, as agreed. That's all.
Parties are excused. They step out.
He was harassing me, and at the point where I signed that, I would have done anything just for him to leave me alone.
Never once did I ever threaten her safety.
His whole behavior, him threatening to kill himself.
Until the clear demise of the relationship, I tried to get her to come back to me.
Following me, driving by my house.
My actions were no way outside the realm of somebody who was a jilted lover and actually cared for her.
He told me he had nothing else but his job to live for.
I care about the woman. I still care about the woman.
He's crazy.
I don't think that that's crazy. I don't think that it's unfounded.
And now the next case.
All parties on Fiorello versus Kraft. Step forward, please.
33-year-old sales manager Vincent Fiorillo is suing 24-year-old graphic designer Danielle Kraft.